today's and those who are online as well. Not too many of you, but thank you for joining. So we are, we are discussing last time, if you recall, we were discussing about the appearance of Lord Varahadev. It was fortunately very close to the actual date also. Very close to the actual date also of Varadev's appearance day, and we spoke about how after the creation was done, after the secondary creation was done, Lord Brahma first created the four Kumaras, for procreation, for the Hare Krishna. Is it okay? Hare Krishna. Psychological in reality with खास फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Thank you. So we were discussing how actually Lord Brahma first created the four Kumaras, right? Those four boys who came out of his body. But after creating the four Kumaras, when he told them that okay, now go and procreate, they said sorry sir, ये हमसे नहीं होगा. So even the primary, the creator of this universe, he also has challenges. ऐसा नहीं कि उनका भी लाइफ बड़ा स्मूथ होगा, सब फर्स्ट क्लास चलता होगा, नहीं, उनको भी बहुत प्रेशर है, उनको भी बहुत टेंशन है. पर जो काम उनको दिया गया है, उनको जो रिपोर्टीज हैं, वो रिपोर्टीज काम करने को तैयार नहीं है. जैसे नहीं, हम नहीं करेंगे, हम कुछ और करेंगे, राइट? So therefore, Brahma, we discussed that out of his anger, Rudra came out of between his eyebrows. Then we discussed about how from his body, Swayambhu Manu and his wife Shatarupa, they manifested, and then they went forward and they created, they procreated, they had sons and daughters, and from that the population was created. So this this story, after it stretches, it says that how Manu, last time we were discussing, Swayambhu Manu, after he is told by Brahma that now you can do you can procreate, they said yes, but where will we live, because the earth is in the Garbhodak ocean. After the partial dissolution that happens at the end of the day of Brahma, the earth is covered. The middle planetary systems, lower and middle planetary systems are covered by the devastation, ocean of devastation. So he says it's in the ocean, so what to do? So then Brahma again, see how at every step there is a challenge, even for Brahma. Brahma कौन है? Brahma is the first created being in this universe. उनको भी तकलीफ है. तो हम तो we should not feel surprised, अरे हम तो आपने बोला था भक्ति करने का, तो हमने तो शुरू कर दिया, देखो कितना तकलीफ आ रहा है. ब्रह्मा जी को भी तकलीफ आ रहा है, आप कौन से खेत की मूली, ऐसा हम लोग सोच सकते हैं. We are nobody, we are insignificant. Even Brahma had challenges. So then while he is wondering, he knows that this is a difficult task. अभी कौन करेगा? अभी from his nose, from his nostrils, a small boar appeared. Boar means not the fruit boar, but the boar, Shukar. The Shukar appeared and he grew and grew and grew. Then he plunged into the ocean, then he removed the earth planet, brought it to the surface, and then, all the residents of Satyaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Mahaloka, all of them were glorifying the Lord, that you have done this wonderful task, thank you. They thank him, glorify him, he blesses them and he leaves. This is where we ended last time. So now all this is happening in what context? Who is discussing with whom? Maitreya Rishi is discussing with Vidura. तो वो context नहीं भूलना है आपने को, because we'll keep coming back to that context. ये stories के चक्कर में we'll forget what the conversation context is. So this is the context that this conversation is happening between Maitreya and Vidura. So now Vidura, after hearing this particular beautiful pastime of Lord Varahadev, now he tells Maitreya that after hearing how how the Lord recovered the earth, I have also heard that Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha. वो भी बताओ. I am more eager to hear about further pastime. मतलब see क्या होता है? This is, we have to understand what is the degree of our progress in devotional life by how much taste we have for hearing Hari Katha. हम लोग कैसे हैं कि एक बार कोई कथा सुन लिया, हो गया यार, चलो अभी घर जाने का टाइम आ गया, इनका लेक्चर कब खत्म होगा, प्रसाद लेके निकल जाएंगे, right? That is our consciousness, and it is my consciousness also. It's not, I'm not saying you all are like, even I am like, even if I am sitting a lecture, all the time our mind keeps reminding us, अरे 8 o'clock हो गया, खत्म नहीं होगी दिन का, फिर कीर्तन कब होगा, कीर्तन इसके बाद होगा, अरे बाप रे, फिर कब अपना प्रसाद होगा, कब हम घर जाएंगे, ये अपना ये कैलकुलेशन चलते रहता है माइंड. We are not really focused on the katha, but those who are pure devotees like Vidura, they are never satisfied. उनका पेट ही नहीं भरता. जैसा कोई अच्छा चीज खाने में अपना पेट नहीं भरता, बोलते हैं पेट भर जाता है लेकिन नियत नहीं भरता. वैसे ही when he is hearing, he says, आपने बस इतना ही बताया, और बताओ, tell me more about Varahadev. Because Varahadev, I have heard that he has also killed his Hiranyaksha. So tell me this story. So then Marichi speaks about how the Lord, he starts from some point, okay? He goes a little backwards. He doesn't straight come to the point, right? So first he speaks, he says that there was, there was this Kashyapa Muni. Okay, Kashyapa Muni is one of the created beings by Lord Brahma, and he is one of the progenitors, one of the Prajapatis, so to say. So Kashyapa was married to Diti, and he had, there were, you remember we said last time we said that Swayambhu Manu, one of his sons was Prajapati Daksha, right? And we said it was actually Daksha who then really, increased the population of the universe, right? So Daksha had 13 daughters, 13, 1 3, who were all married to different, they actually had many daughters, but 13 of them were married to Kashyapa, just one Rishi, Kashyapa. 13 of them were married to Kashyapa. Now, one of the daughters of Daksha was married to, anyone knows? Lord Shiva. Yeah, we are celebrating Shivaratri, some yesterday, some today. Definitely, worshipping and glorifying Lord Shiva banta hai. But so Sati was one of the daughters of Daksha, who was married to Lord Shiva. Okay. So now what happens is Diti, she was amongst the co-wives, amongst 12 other sisters who were married to Kashyapa. Now she had no children of her own. She had no children. Other sisters had got children, but she didn't have a child. So now it is described. So Maitreya says that Diti, in the evening, she was consumed by the desire to have a child. And obviously, to have a child, the sexual act, she was like consumed by the desire. So she goes and approaches her husband Kashyapa, and she says that, see, I am one amongst, these 13 sisters, and bhai unka to ho gaya, what about me? I also want to have a child. So when she prays like this to Maitreya, she gives various reasons. Okay, so she says that first she says that I am being tortured by Cupid. Matlab, I am feeling lusty. This is one reason she gives. Second reason, she says that I am distressed by seeing the opulence of the co-wives who have children. She says, if you give me qualified children, my fame and your fame will spread all over. Then she says, all 13 sisters are equally faithful to you. Why should I remain without a child? So, aisa 4-5 reasons she gives him that why right now at this very moment I want you to have sex with me and I want to have a child. So she became illogical, a bigger bitch. So at that time, Kashyapa, he tries to dissuade. He gives her various reasons. He says that, see, this is not a good time. He says, I accept your proposal is good. So it's no problem. You wish to have a child, I will give you a child. But this is not the time. He says, ये शाम का वक्त है. ये वक्त में we should not have. So he also gives us various reasons. Okay. So first he glorifies her. So Srila Prabhupada, he mentions in the purport over there Yeah. So Kashyapa, he was not a very strong person. See, if he was actually very strong, he would have told his wife, no, not now. He will, but not now. Forget it. But how he tries to dissuade her, he dissuades her by first glorifying. He glorifies his wife. He says that, oh, wife allows the husband to attain dharma, artha, kama. Wife is the one who is, by living with the wife and supporting other ashrama, one can cross over material ocean. So he starts glorifying her first. And he says, I will satisfy your desire, but if it's possible, please wait for some time. So he gives her various reasons for postponing. He says that first of all, others will, people will say bad things about me. Ki yaar, tu Joru ka gulam hai. Wife ne bola, immediately you gave in. You are not able to control your desire. What kind of person you are? Then he says one significant thing. He says, Sham ke samay, at the time of the evening, Lord Shiva, along with his toli of ghosts, hobgoblins, spirits, they are all roaming around at this time. So he says, at this time, if we engage in union, then it is quite likely that one of these souls may enter into your body. So what are these ghosts and hobgoblins? Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport what is a ghost. And last time also I think we discussed it. Someone asked a question about ghosts. You had asked a question about ghosts. So a ghost is someone who doesn't have a proper physical body. See, a soul is eternal. Soul does not die. We have heard in Bhagavad Gita, we have enough. Both suna hai iske baare. We are not this body. We are the soul which resides in this body. But if we leave the body untimely due to either suicide or someone violently murdering before time, तुम्हारा मृत्यु आ गया, then the body soul is separated from the body, but the soul is not able to get another body because उसका अभी तक time आया नहीं. So then the soul along with the subtle body, which is the mind, intelligence, and false ego, it is still hovering around, looking for another body. So Lord Shiva is so compassionate, इतने दयालु है कि ऐसे लोगों को भी भगवान शिव जी जो है, he gives shelter. So they are also roaming along with Lord Shiva. So what Kashyapa says is that if we engage in union at this time, then some of these ghosts may take shelter of your body. Then he also says, he says Shiva is your brother-in-law. She may argue, okay, Baba, how Shiva will see? We will be in some private place. How Lord Shiva can see? So Kashyapa is explaining to her that Shiva is not ordinary person. He is not like you and me. He is an extraordinary person. So it is explained. Prabhupada explains in the purport over there that who is Lord Shiva? Who is Lord Shiva? Lord Shiva is not Jiva Tattva. You see? Yeah. So he explains that Lord Shiva is not Jiva Tattva. So even Brahma is Jiva Tattva. Lord Brahma is also spirit soul who is Jiva Tattva. But is Lord Shiva Vishnu Tattva? No, he is not Vishnu Tattva also. He is different. He is almost equivalent to Lord Vishnu, but he is not Lord. He is not that Vishnu Tattva fully also. So it is described that like milk and dahi, in the Bhagavad, in the Brahma Samhita, when Lord Brahma is glorifying, in that he says that like milk and yogurt, they are the same in one sense because yogurt comes from milk, but they are different at the same time. They're completely different because the taste, everything is different. Milk and, but in one sense they're the same. So in the same way, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu in one sense are the same because Lord Shiva comes from Lord Vishnu and has a specific service in this universe. He is one of the trinity of this universe, but he is not Lord Vishnu. He's different. Okay. So he says that Lord Shiva has three eyes. He says one eye is the sun, one eye is the moon, and he has a third eye also. So through these three eyes, he can see everything. He can see past, present, and future. So he's saying that even though he's your brother-in-law, how is brother-in-law? Because one of the sisters of Diti is married to Shiva. He's your brother-in-law, but still it will be an offense that knowing that he's around, if you do something like this, it will be an offense. So he tries various ways to explain to her. Not much logical, many verses he speaks to try to convince her. Okay. But Diti is not willing to listen. She is, she becomes very lusty. She holds his clothes. So Kashyapa finally obliges her, bowing down to his fate. Okay. Now, after the union, Kashyapa bathed and sat to chant Gayatri, and she became very guilty. She started feeling very guilty about what she has done. So, when she is feeling guilty like this, she starts to repent for what she has done. She says that, oh, I am so, I'm so fallen that I could not control my own lusty desires. Though you tried to warn me, still I didn't listen. So she is repenting like this, right? And Srila Prabhupada explains, before this, Srila Prabhupada explains that before engaging in this kind of intercourse, both the husband and the wife must consider four things. Okay, now this is very interesting. This is what the scriptures tell us is the responsibility of husband and wife, even when they are engaging in union. What is the responsibility? It says they must consider their mental condition. Okay, are they both peaceful or are they, agitated, totally agitated? That's first. Second, what is the particular time? So even for that kind of union, there is a time. It cannot be done at any time of the day. There is a time. Third, husband's direction. So the husband is saying that don't do it, wife must not insist, and vice versa also is equally true. Okay. And fourth, obedience to the demigods. So it says, according to Vedic society, there is a suitable, auspicious time for sex, which is called the time for Garbhadhan. Garbhadhan. Now, this is very interesting that this is one of the samskaras that is given for people in the Vedic society. That having a child is one of the duties of the grahastha. Someone who is married, to a proper wife, one of the duties is to get children, try to have children. Why? Because by having children, you can, spread the culture. What culture you have received, whatever values you have received. Now we are fortunate, we have received the gift of matchless gift of Krishna consciousness. Now we should also pass it on, not to others, to the next generation. We should try to bring more souls into this movement by giving them Krishna consciousness. One way of doing it is, you may say, Baba, हम तो प्रचारक नहीं, ऐसा बैठ के हमको बात करने को नहीं होता है. Possible. Then you have children and give your children Krishna consciousness. At least they will listen to you. बाकी कोई सुने ना सुने, वो भी थोड़ा टाइम तक ही सुनते हैं, ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं सुनते वो लोग, कुछ समय तक सुनेंगे. But this act of bringing a child into your family is also a holy samskar. How can you say it is samskar? ये तो थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया ना, अति हो गया, अधिक हो गया. नहीं. So, Srila Prabhupada, he taught us, like in ISKCON, for example, whenever we want to have a child, we are trained that every day we chant at least 16 rounds of this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day, right? 16 माला रोज करते हैं. It takes whatever 1.5 hours, 2 hours, whatever, depending on how fast or how slow you chant. Now, whenever in ISKCON we try to have a child, we are trained to chant 50 rounds, 50. 50 rounds we chant before we try for a child. Now, इसका क्या फंडा है? 50 round में क्या उखाड़ लोगे? What will happen? Now, the concept is very simple. If we chant 50 rounds, we will be in good consciousness before we invite the child take shelter of my wife's. So it's very interesting, scientific and spiritual at the same time, that if you are in good consciousness and you pray to the Lord, then see, everything is determined by the Lord. Everything happens by the will of the Lord. Going forward, also in this, we will hear now as we go forward how this works, that everything is determined by the will of the Lord. So even for a soul to come into your wife's body through you is determined by the Lord. What kind of soul will come into your family? It's, it's very interesting. So if you have a desire at all that let me have a child who will be having good samskara, who will be sattvic in nature, who will be a devotee going forward, then we should try to follow this kind of a samskar. You know, it is given that the guru of Srila Prabhupada, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's father was Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Now, Bhakti Vinod Thakur was one of the acharyas in our parampara. Now, he, during his time, this is in the late, I think in the late 19th century. Remember? Late 19th century, right? Bhakti Vinod Thakur. 1870 will be 19th century, correct? Around that time. So, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, when he was around, the Gaudiya mission had practically, either died or it was, spread into very small, thin factions which were doing all kinds of rubbish. But the real philosophy was not being preached. So he prayed to the Lord, my Lord, please send. He prayed for a ray of Vishnu, that let my Lord please send a spark who can help me in the preaching of this movement. He prayed like that, and that's when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bimla Thakur, what was his name? Bimla Prasad. Bimal Prasad. Bimla Prasad. So Bimla Prasad, that son was born. He was born after Bhakti Vinod Thakur desperately prayed to the Lord that, my Lord, if it is your desire, send me a soul who can assist me in the mission of spreading the message of Lord Chaitanya, message of Bhagavad Gita. So when he was praying like this, then Bimala Prasad was born, and of course, he didn't know that this is the ray of Vishnu that the Lord has sent, but he was praying. At one time, at that time he was Bhakti Vinod Thakur was a magistrate, he was a judge, and he was at that time posted in Jagannath Puri. Everyone knows Jagannath Puri, where the Rath Yatra happens. So that year, the Rath Yatra was, remember, you will have to help me on this. Spontaneously saying, I don't remember exactly. But the Rath Yatra was passing, it goes through the Grand Trunk Road, right? On that big road. So that Bhakti Vinod Thakur's home was, on that street. And the Rath came and it got stuck right in front of Bhakti Vinod Thakur's home. So, and it was not moving. Both खींच के सब कुछ कर लिया, लेकिन it was not moving. And then Bhakti Vinod Thakur brought Bimala Prasad out, and then what happened? He touched his head to the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. After that, immediately the Rath started moving. So then Bhakti Vinod Thakur was convinced that yes, this is the sign of the Lord, and it was very much sign of Lord, because that person, Bimla Prasad, I mean, sometime, if any of you has, do we have here? Okay, we have Vishnu library. So, see, it is interesting. See, we all like to read history, stories. सबको अच्छा लगता है stories. पहले कैसा था? रूपपाद के time कैसा था? उनके पहले कैसा था? See, today we may feel that कलयुगा में कितना difficult है ये Krishna consciousness follow. बड़ा कठिन है ये काम. पहले it must have been easier. No, पहले it was worse. You imagine when the British are ruling India, they are systematically trying to destroy all the Indians' faith in their Vedic literature. Systematically. Macaulay का तो पूरा वही plan था. right? Amidst that, to keep the movement going, to keep all the parampara, everything going, what is the contribution of the acharyas? We cannot even dream. Amidst all this, they have kept it going. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was one of the greatest ever scholars at that time. Tremendous scholar, tremendous scholar. So how has this happened? A tremendous scholar, and he was the one who brought Srila Prabhupada into this movement, and then he gave instructions to Srila Prabhupada, which Srila Prabhupada, as it is mentioned in his biography, a lifetime in preparation. You know, if you read the Prabhupada Leelamrit, Prabhupada Leelamrit, if you read, the first part of that book is called A Lifetime in Preparation, which talks, he was given an instruction. Okay. So, it's very interesting. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was an astrologer. Prabhupada said he was the greatest living astrologer at that time. He was the greatest Sanskrit scholar also. You should read his book. See, Brahma Samhita, there is only one translation available, which is written by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Brahma Samhita, everyone knows, we chant every day in the morning in the temple. Brahma Samhita. That Brahma Samhita is spoken by Lord Brahma, but it is translated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And if you read it, उसका अंग्रेजी आपको ऐसा बाउंसर जाएगा. Very heavy English, Victorian English. So he's a great scholar. Okay. And when he met Srila Prabhupada for the first time, Prabhupada that time was Abhay Charan Day. He was a Gandhian. Prabhupada was a Gandhian. He was born in a Vaishnav family and he was favorable, but he was not doing anything much. He was studying in some Royal Scottish College in Kolkata, and he gave up his degree because he wanted to follow Gandhi. And in 1922, when Gandhi had launched civil disobedience movement, at that time his friend Narendra took him to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So when he went to me, I'm digressing completely, but it's an interesting story. So when he went to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was not willing to go because at his home, every second day some sadhus would come. Every second day his father would invite some sadhus for prasad, and all of them he would tell them the same thing. Please bless my son Abhay so that he becomes a good servant of Srimati Radharani. He would ask for the same blessing from all of them. He would not say bless him that he becomes very rich, bless him that he gets good wife, bless him that he gets good house. No, bless him that he becomes a good servant of Srimati Radharani. This is what his father would ask always. So, but many of those sadhus who would come, Abhay would see that they are actually false hai, dhonki log hai. But still his father would give so much love and respect. So Abhay would not like, and I said, क्या है, कैसे dhonki log आ रहे इधर, क्या साधु बन रहे, कोई साधु तो है नहीं. So what happened was, when he was invited to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, this is the perception with which he went. कि यार और एक साधु, क्या मेरे को नहीं आना. But his friend was very insistent. He said, no, you must come. The genuine sadhu. I have met him. I am telling you, he's genuine. Come with me. So then Abhay went with him. And then when he went, as soon as they walked, this is at 22 Ultatanga Junction Road in Kolkata. That place has now been got by ISKCON. It was bahar tha, abhi ISKCON ne wo jagah le liya hai. And it has been renovated very beautifully in Kolkata. So as soon as Abhay entered, now he had the culture that koi sadhu hai to turant dandavat karna chahiye. He and Narendra did dandavat, and dandavat karke ऐसे उठे भी नहीं थे. That time Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur looking straight at him. मैं इधर उधर नहीं देख रहे, उसको देख के बोल रहे कि you look like an intelligent, educated young man. Why don't you preach the message of Lord Chaitanya in English language all over the world? बोलते ना जानना पहचान तू मेरा मेहमान. It was literally like that. That he has never met this sadhu before in his life. He is not even finished paying full obeisances. मतलब उठने को भी नहीं दिया, वहीं पे उनको पकड़ के बोल दिया, you look like an intelligent and educated young man. Why don't you preach the message of Lord Chaitanya and the Bhagavad Gita in English language all over the world. So Abhay, whatever, me? Yes, you. And then Abhay started arguing. He started arguing. He said that, Arey, who will listen to this message? We are still under the bondage of the British. Paila we should get independence. Then we should give this message. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, no. All this, nothing can wait. We can't wait for anything to happen. This is a very urgent thing to do it now. So the good argument went on between Abhay and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Good argument went on. And then Prabhupada, writes very proudly and says in various lectures here, very proudly he says, I was smashed and defeated by my Guru that day. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur defeated him in the argument. And from that moment onwards, Prabhupada made it the mission of his life, Abhay made it the mission of his life to now help he accepted him that this is my Guru. I will accept this person as my spiritual master. He finally got initiation. This is 1922. He got initiation in 1933. So for those of us who are aspiring for initiation and not getting, we should be patient. Even our founder Acharya got after 11 years. Okay, so like that. So okay. So this is how the first interaction happened between Prabhupada and his Guru Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So why I started telling this is that if one sincerely prays like this in good consciousness, then a good soul can be invited into the womb of the wife, right? Otherwise, whatever is there will happen. If you are in full mode of passion, वैसा ही अपने को होता है, वैसे ही मिलता है. So now, Kashyapa, Diti, as I said, Diti repented, and Kashyapa predicts now. He tells that because we have engaged in this union at the wrong time and against my desire, and in knowing that Shiva and everyone will be passing, still we chose to still do it. So now he says that you will have two contemptuous sons. Contemptuous means what is, anyone knows what is contemptuous? Huh? Contemptuous, contempt. What is contempt? Insult. Contempt means I don't care. Hey, go on, that kind of insulting attitude is called a contemptuous attitude. So he says you will have two sons who are contemptuous. Insulting to whom? To everybody. To the Brahmanas, to the Kshatriyas, to everyone. They'll be contemptuous. They'll not care for anyone. They will constantly afflict the world. They will kill innocent living entities. They will torture women. They will enrage great souls. This will be their biodata. This is what they are going to do, right? And now how he is able to predict? He is able to predict because see, these rishis, they have that vision. They are able to see कि ये होने वाला है. Like if you remember at the very beginning of the Bhagavatam when we started last year or last to last year when we started, if you remember, we had spoken about how Shamik Rishi, when he opened his eyes and he came to know that his son Shringi had cursed Parikshit Maharaj. So he immediately knows, Arey Baba, ye kya kar diya hai? Because abhi to Kalyuga jayega. Kalyuga will come in full force because of this curse, right? And the whole lot of Brahmanas will fall down. Brahmanas in Kalyuga will lose their piety, will lose their purity. He knows that. So these people are able to foresee what is going to happen in the future. So he foresees it's what is going to happen. They will afflict the world, they'll kill innocent living entities, they'll torture women, they'll enrage great souls, and therefore, thus, they will be killed by the Supreme God. Okay? So he is predicting that these two sons, which are not even born till now, अभी तक पैदा भी नहीं हुए, उन्होंने उनका डेथ का मतलब पूरा उनका बायोडेटा दे दिया और बोल दिया कि इनका मृत्यु कैसे होने वाला है, भगवान खुद मारेंगे. So, and Kashyapa says, now you can imagine any mother, if she is told, जैसे sonography करते हैं ना, sonography में अगर, I remember, when we were in Singapore, way back in 2003, 20 years back, That time our son Mukunda was conceived in Singapore. So in one sense, he's a Singaporean. Okay. So he was conceived in Singapore. So we had gone to a gynac over there, gynac doctor, and that now I forgot the context why I was telling this, but anyway. Huh? Sonography, huh? हाँ ठीक है जो भी है so he is like he's predicting what is going to happen, right? So now this हाँ वो context में बोल रहा था, correct. So ये सोनोग्राफी के लिए हम लोग एक डॉक्टर के पास गए, and in Singapore they don't have any sex determination, कुछ law नहीं है उनका, उनका सब चलता है. So this person asked, would you like to know it's a boy or a girl? So he said, yeah, we don't mind. So he says it's a boy. Very good. Then he says, look at his. Then he started focusing. He said, look at his Indian nose. Like he had a slightly sharp, this. He said, see, already he has an Indian nose, as a well defined. उनका nose का चपट रहता है ना. So Indian nose, he has an Indian nose. So a sonography person is able to predict little bit about what the child is going to be like. कि बाबा इसका हाथ पांव सब बराबर है कि नहीं, इसका organ सब develop हुआ कि नहीं, heart beat हो रहा है कि नहीं. This is what a sonographist can say. But these people are able to say Kashyapa is telling not just this, he is telling that उनका future क्या होगा और उनका अंत क्या होगा, पूरा बता दिया. Now if a mother hears during sonography that your child has some congenital defect, Down syndrome, ये वो जो भी कुछ भी सुना, तो obviously mother is devastated, no? Now if someone tells that Baba your son is going to be a miscreant number 1, एक नंबर का गुंडा रहेगा, and ऊपर से he will be killed, he will not die on natural death, he will be killed. So any mother will get upset, right? So he also tells her, he says, because you have shown great repentance. See, Diti repents. She prays to Lord Shiva. She says that, Lord Shiva, though I knew my husband told me that what I am doing is wrong, still I did it. I could not control myself. So she's praying to Lord Shiva that I know I have made a mistake, but please, she invokes, she says that, see, my sister is married to you. So thoda concession de do. So she prays and she repents. So he says, because of your repentance and the faith in the Lord and your respect for Lord Shiva and me, he says, your grandson will be a great devotee, while your sons will be miscreant number 1 and 2. Okay, do jane. But he says that your grandson will be a great devotee. In fact, he will be as famous as the Lord himself. Who is the grandson of Diti? Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. So when Diti hears this, now Prahlad Maharaj ka story is going to come in 7th canto. वो टाइम के बाद आने वाला है, ठीक है? तो आप लोग सब तब तक hopefully I will all be there. Hopefully I'll also still be there. Let's see, But anyway, we'll continue over here. So Diti, when she hears this, that ठीक है, two things she is satisfied by. One, that while my sons may be miscreants, they will be killed by the Lord. Lord will personally come and kill. मतलब कुछ औकात है बेटों का, भगवान मार रहे मतलब कोई साधारण नहीं है ना. मतलब आज के तारीख में मारने के लिए भगवान को खुद आना नहीं पड़ता है. लोग बोलते हैं ना कि अभी कितना कलयुग चल रहा है, भगवान किधर है. भगवान को हम जैसे मच्छरों को मारने के लिए he doesn't have to come. One minuscule COVID virus is enough to सबका पत्ता साफ करने के लिए एक कोविड वायरस बस हो गया. Nothing else is needed, right? So she feels happy Lord will kill. And second, that if Lord kills का मतलब क्या है? That they will be liberated from cycle of birth, they'll get more. So she is pleased by that, and plus that her grandson will be a great devotee, will be as famous as the Lord. So actually it is true, जितना famous Lord Narsingh Dev है, उतना ही famous Prahlad Maharaj भी, right? Everyone, even till this day, people are naming their son Prahlad. कितने लोग हैं जो प्रहलाद अपने बेटे का नाम रखते हैं? So like that. Now so this completes the 14th chapter. We have completed the 14th chapter of 3rd canto. Now after this is over, now Diti. Now who is telling this story? Maitreya is telling Vidur, right? And he has still not come to how Hiranyaksha was born, killed. So ये एक एक स्टोरी के अंदर और एक स्टोरी अभी चालू हो जाता है, सब लोग ध्यान दो, so you will get lost. Okay, अभी क्या होता है that she knows that these two sons are going to create all kinds of destruction. Already बोला है ना कि क्या चार गुण है तुम्हारे बेटों में, क्या क्या करेंगे बोला है. So she holds the child in her womb and she doesn't allow the child to come out. So she also is like a yogini. She also has certain yogic powers. So by her yogic powers, she doesn't allow the child to be born. Children are born, they're there in her womb. वो बाहर नहीं आ पा रहे because उसने पकड़ के रखा है. So a very long time she was holding like that because she was worried for two things. One, that they will trouble the demigods. Second, they will be killed by the Lord. So which mother want to give birth to a child knowing that they will be killed? नहीं मैं तो अंदर ही रखूंगी. So it is described that due to these two horrible demons being in her womb, the darkness started spreading in the universe and the demigods got worried. Always ऐसे ही होता है. Whenever there is a problem, the demigods approach whom? They approach Brahma because they can't approach Vishnu directly. So they go to Brahma. Brahma ji जरा आप देखो, बॉस को बोलो जरा गड़बड़ हो रहा है यहाँ पे, right? So they come to Brahma, and Brahma. So they are trying to understand what is going on because they don't know the whole backstory. But Brahma knows everything. He knows past, present, and future. So Brahma, he starts telling them a story. तो इस story के अंदर story. Original story क्या था? मैत्रेय and विदुरा. उसके अंदर story था ये कश्यप and दीति का. हाँ. Because originally he had asked about वराहदेव का second pastime. तो वो pastime शुरू करने के लिए दीति का story चालू हुआ. उसके अंदर और एक story चालू हुआ. Brahma starts telling a story. He says that he says once upon a time. He said once upon a time. No, that's not it. He said my four sons, the four Kumaras, right? The four Kumaras who are in the body of 5-year-old boys, wearing nothing but the four directions. They don't even have clothes on their body. They're just 5-year-old boys who are completely transcendental Brahmanas who are, they are on the impersonal platform. They do not worship the Lord per se. They know that Lord Vishnu is there, but they are impersonalists. They are jnanis. So they never grow physically beyond the age of 5, but they are very old. They are Puratan, but they don't grow bodily because they don't want to go into that age from which attraction to opposite sex will start. So they are very clear, हम तो 5 साल के ही रहेंगे, like that. So they once, they decide to visit Vaikuntha. Now, where is Vaikuntha? You remember we discussed, for those of you who were there, we discussed that this material universe is called Brahmanda. It's like in the shape of an egg, and there are 14 planetary systems there. The highest planet in the Brahmanda is Satyaloka, which is the residence place of Lord Brahma. Beyond the Brahmanda, beyond the material universe, is what is called the Vaikuntha planets. There are many millions of Vaikuntha planets also. And in the Vaikuntha planet, Lord Vishnu resides. So now these four Kumaras have a desire to visit Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha. So how they get there, it is not described, but they are yogis. So they are able to travel interplanetary travel also. So they go to Vaikuntha. And as they go to Vaikuntha, first Brahma starts describing Vaikuntha. So I'll just read the description. It's very interesting, it's very beautiful. We'll see how much we are able to complete today. So Brahma, he says, first he's saying that how these four Kumaras went to Vaikuntha. He says the characteristics of Vaikuntha. The Vaikuntha men, they look similar to the Lord, Vaikuntha Murtaya, and they are engaged in his devotional service. They have no desires for sense gratification. Animitta nimittena. They have, so the men in Vaikuntha have a form. It's called Sarupya, Sarupya Mukti, where you get a form similar to that of the Lord. Four-handed, beautiful form. That is also there. But they are not the Lord. What is the difference? That they are engaged in his devotional service and they have no desire for sense gratification. Nothing. Completely transcendental. Then the Lord is, residing there, established in pure sattva. The Vaikuntha forest, okay, the description of Vaikuntha forest. It has beautiful desired trees that bear flowers and fruits of all seasons because everything is spiritual and personal. Then the couples in Vaikuntha, they fly in airplanes. Okay, now it's interesting. Srimad Bhagavatam is mentioning something about Vaikuntha, which is beyond the material universe. Very casually, it is mentioned over here. The word is used. Vaimanika salalanas charitani shashvat gayanti yatra shamalaksha pranani bhartu. Vaimanika. So flying, these couples are flying in airplanes while constantly glorifying the faultless Lord. Airplanes in the Vaikuntha planet. Okay, it's interesting for a moment, just pause to think. कि ये से हो सकता नहीं हो गया क्या वैकुंठा में विमान it is mentioned. The word Vaimanika is mentioned in the Bhagavatam of an era which is millions of years ago. So at some level, you have to understand the Srimad Bhagavatam, the information that it is giving. Okay, if you remember last couple of weeks back, couple of sessions back, we discussed about time, concept of time, how these four yugas keep repeating again and again, again and again. There is Sat Yuga, there is Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga, and again there is Sat Yuga, and then that cycles keep going. So all these creation, inventions, ideas, discoveries may have been happening from time immemorial, and then again they get buried by sands of time, and again they are reconstructed, rebuilt by human beings, one human being at one point of time who rediscovers atomic energy. Right? Discover kiya. It has been there forever. Somebody who discovered, the flight aerodynamics due to which a flight can fly. The Lindbergh brothers, who had the first solo flight across the Atlantic. All glories to them. We don't say that no credit. Of course, fantastic. We understand that these things have existed forever. आजकल WhatsApp University पे एक video घूम रहा है. About someone who says that it is actually rubbish. Okay, I'm just saying. It says that the design for Viman is given in the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita. ऐसा कोई तो एक वीडियो घूमता है, अभी नहीं देखा तो अच्छी बात है, गलत है. Okay, no problem. Just because someone glorifies Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata doesn't mean that we take credit कि हाँ हमारे मन. See, it may be given also in Mahabharata, okay, but that video is rubbish. Video में जो दिया है वो गलत है. But see, the principle is that all this, if you remember last time we had also discussed something about the Vedas, Upavedas, and all these things. Right? All these are coming from Brahma, and they have tremendous amount of information. किसी ने वो रिसर्च किया भी नहीं है कि क्या क्या है वेदों में. हम लोग गलत है, हम वेदों के फॉलोअर हैं, सनातन धर्मी है हम लोग. आजकल ये ट्रेंड चल रहा है ना, लोग बोलते हैं हम सनातनी है. और सनातनी का मतलब तो बताओ एक बार क्या है, किसी को मालूम? नो वन नोज. प्राउड टू से गर्व से कहो हम हिंदू है. ठीक है, हिंदू का मतलब तो बताओ क्या है. No one knows. But the point is, it is all there. Our scriptures are full of information. Okay. So sorry for that deviation. So Vaimanika, so it is described that they are roaming in. Yeah. Then Vaikuntha birds. There are beautiful birds in Vaikuntha. So description is given. Various birds are named in that verse. Verse number 18. Okay, Vaikuntha birds. Various birds are mentioned which are singing very sweetly. But when the king of bees starts buzzing, all the birds become silent. Because the buzzing of that bee is very pleasing to the Lord. Lord likes to hear that. वो जो musically वो जो buzz करता है, the Lord is very pleased. So the birds which are chirping very beautifully, even in the material world, the birds chirp is very pleasing. See, of course, अपने को unfortunately बम्बई में ज्यादा pigeon का गुडर सुनने को मिलता है and कौवे का काव काव सुनने को मिलता है. Right? We don't have too many nice birds here, but still sometimes you get to hear, you get to hear the कोयल, you get to hear मैना. इधर है बम्बई में अपना सिंधी सोसाइटी में काफी सारे हैं. मैना है, कोयल कभी कभी सुनता है. हाँ, कॉलोनी में बहुत है. लोग ना वैसे ही वैकुंठा ही है. half heavenly planet. So yes. वो इतना काव पड़ता है. शादी क्यों नहीं किया? हाँ. उसके पहले इतना काव है तो शादी कर. आगे क्या सुनूंगा मैं? Nice one. So yeah, the birds, even in the material world, when they sing, it is sweet to the ears, right? So you can imagine Vaikuntha, how sweet they must be. Beautiful. But when they hear the bee, they pause and they allow the bee to buzz, right? And then after he's finished, then they start singing again. There's a very beautiful lesson to be learned here, that in the spiritual world there is no envy. हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? ईर्ष्या. Dvesh, Irsha, Dvesh. There is no envy in the spiritual world. Material world, we are all envious. We came to the material world because we became envious. Everyone is envious over it, right? Abhi kya hai? In the material world, it's interesting how envy works. Envy works like this, that I don't feel envious of a person who is not my competitor. So, for example, if someone is a good cook, very good cook, I'll not feel envious. ठीक है, good cook, very good, बढ़िया, प्रसाद अच्छा बनाती है, very nice. खाया पी के मस्त हो जाएंगे, right? But if I come to know someone is a good speaker, भगवत गीता, भागवतम अच्छा प्रचार करता है और यहाँ आके बैठा है सामने, इमीडिएटली माइंड में इनसिक्योरिटी आता है. व्हाई? आई फील कि यार ये कुछ ज्यादा बोल देगा तो लोग सोचेंगे यार ये तो इससे अच्छा बात करता है. Immediately the insecurity and the envy comes into the heart. We don't. So His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj had once told in a lecture, he said that the person who is playing mridanga in the kirtan, he doesn't feel envious of the matajis who are making garlands. Such beautiful garlands, उनको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. They are very happy. और बनाओ, बहुत सुंदर. Gopinath will be very pleased. Make nice garlands. But they see another mridang player, no, immediately they become envious. And that person comes to him and says, "Prabhuji, इसको भी सिखाओ ना. हाँ, I also want to play. मेरे को आप जैसा बजाते ना, मेरे को भी बजाने. हाँ हाँ सिखाता हूँ. But वो बराबर से नहीं सिखाता है. वो बराबर से नहीं सिखाता है. क्यों? Because he is envious. He is insecure कि यार ये बड़ा talented लगता है. इसको बिना सिखाए इतना अच्छा बजा रहा है. मैं बजाऊंगा तो मेरे से आगे निकल जाएगा. फिर कीर्तन में मेरे को कोई पूछेगा नहीं. So we become envious. That is the nature. Then Maharaj was saying that those who are making garlands, Mataji में भी भयंकर competition रहता है. ऐसा it's not only the men are envious, right? The women. He's saying the women, what they will do, he's saying that those who are sitting in the garland, वो garland बनाने के लिए ऐसा group में बैठते, table के around बैठते, and पूरा flowers का heaps रहता है. So जो कोई नया आया है ना, उनको अच्छा flowers नहीं देते. They keep the best flowers for themselves, that I will make a nice garland, let that person make not so nice garland. Best flowers I will keep. So Maharaj making a very beautiful point. He said that we are envious of those whom we see as competition. And he says, if we are envious like this, even if you are brilliant in mridang playing, even if you made the best garland, will it be pleasing to the Lord? Lord will not be pleased. Well, your ego may be very pleased. देखो मैं कैसे बजाता हूँ, कोई इर्द गिर्द नहीं है मेरे, समझ में आई बात? You know, we may feel very proud, we may feel very, our ego may be satisfied. The Lord is not satisfied with what you have done. What is the use? It's a waste of time. You know, it's a complete waste of time. No, as they say, na utpadayate datim shrama eva hi kevalam. If your activities are not giving birth to rati, what is rati? Not apsara rati. The rati means the love for the Lord, that attraction, that attachment for the Lord. If all the activities you're doing in the material world, na utpadayate yadi ratim shrama eva hi kevalam. It's just shram, just hard work, useless hard work. Kya fayda? It's not helping anybody. So our activities in the material world, or even our spiritual activities, we tend to become envious. And as long as we are envious, we will be here. आप चाहे जो कर लो, आप यहीं पे रहोगे. Because spiritual world, the principle is, in spiritual world, not even the birds are envious. Birds also pause. Let him perform, because he will please the Lord more by his birth. Right? So it's a very beautiful, it's a simple point, but it's very beautiful. Vaikuntha birds, Vaikuntha plants. Now see the all the Vaikuntha plants, the flowers. Okay, Mandara, Kunda, Kurubotpala, Champak Karana. So various flowers are mentioned. Okay, although transcendently fragrant, they greatly respect Tulasi. So flowers are more fragrant than Tulsi. Yes or no? Flowers, they're more fragrant than, but they greatly respect Tulsi for her austerities that made her leaves attain a position in the Lord's garland. So भगवान को जो, अभी if you see, you go to Tirupati, भगवान को तुलसी का माला पहनाते हैं. That is most pleasing to him. फूलों का भी पहनाते हैं, but तुलसी माला is the prime thing. नहीं तो भगवान will not be pleased. ऐसा बोलते हैं. So even the flowers, they are not envious. They are feeling great respect for Tulsi Maharani, that she must have done so much austerity, therefore she is hitting that position by the chest and the lotus feet of the Lord. Right? So like that. Then so like that, many things are mentioned, that the Vaikuntha women, they are as beautiful as Lakshmi, but they are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls to receive the Lord's grace. So even the women who are there, they may be very beautiful like Srimati Lakshmi Devi, but still they want to take a position of servitude to serve the Lord, to please the Lord. Okay. So like this beautiful description is given of Vaikuntha by Lord Brahma. And then he comes to the original story about how he says, sorry. Yeah. So he says that these 4 Kumaras, okay, they went to Vaikuntha. So Vaikuntha enter करने के लिए, they walked through 6 gates. There were 6 gates. One by one, they just went through all the 6 gates. Any ordinary living entity like you and me cannot go. So Brahma also describes in verse 21, 22, 23, 24. He also describes that, what are the characteristics of the people who can enter Vaikuntha and those who cannot enter Vaikuntha. मैं बताऊंगा नहीं, आप पढ़ो. आपके पास भागवत में आप पढ़ो. So this is 3.15. 3.15.22, 23, 24. Okay, where he gives the description. So they walked through, but at the 7th gate, which is the final gate before entering Vaikuntha, they were stopped. Who stopped them? They were stopped by Jaya and Vijaya. So the description is given of Jaya and Vijaya, that Jaya and Vijaya also had a beautiful transcendental body. They also had 4 arms. They were wearing beautiful garland. They were having jewelry on their body, transcendentally beautiful. Like Lord Vishnu, right? As I said, Sarupya Mukti. They have that features of the Lord. They look like the Lord, but they are not the Lord. So, but when these 4 Kumaras came there, At that point, the Jaya and Vijay were looking very agitated. Now, why they're looking agitated? Anyone can guess? Four Kumaras, they have entered into this Vaikuntha, the last gate, and they're trying to enter now directly. They are the Dwarpal there. Okay? So when they see these four boys, they're looking little agitated. Why? Anyone guess why they are agitated? Mm-hmm. Okay, what else? Directly meeting Lord Vishnu. So हमसे नहीं पूछा. Okay, what else? Anybody? They are small children not wearing clothes. आप सोचो ना, मंदिर में कोई गार्ड खड़ा है, चार बच्चे बिना कपड़े के ऐसे अंदर गए तो गाय तू जा किसी जा रहा है, किसी जा रहा है. That is what happened. They just got agitated. They didn't know who these four boys are. They just got agitated. अरे कौन है? रुको रुको रुको. You know, they stopped them. So it is described that because they stopped the four Kumaras from entering, the four Kumaras got angry. So now, in the verse, there is a particular word that is used, Kama Anujena. Kama Anujena is what? The Anuj. Anuj means younger brother. Younger brother of Kama is who? Krodha. So if you have very strong desire in your heart for something, even if it is a spiritual thing, so Prabhupada goes at length to explain, it is not that these are liberated souls. जैसे इस्कॉन वालों को बहुत लोग ऐसा के ताना मतलब गुस्सा कैसा आता है तुमको, इतना सब हरे कृष्णा बोलते हैं, गुस्सा कैसा आता है तुमको, इतना आसानी से गुस्सा आ जाता है तुम लोगों को, हाँ क्या कैसा साधु है तुम लोग. Not that हम लोग साधु हैं, साधु तो है ही नहीं, but even Prabhupada makes a point that even those who are on a liberated level can get angry because their desire was also spiritual. Their karma was that we want to meet Lord Vishnu, we want to get darshan of Lord Vishnu. And because they had that strong desire, and that desire was getting frustrated by these two Jaya Vijay standing with swords and gada at the entrance, no, we will not let you go. Right? So because of that, Anuja appeared, anger appeared on the scene immediately. Right? And when this anger appeared, immediately they cursed them. They cursed. First of all, they made a point that how is it even possible? ये मुमकिन कैसे है कि there is anger, there is envy in the spiritual world? How is this duality coming? You know, तुम लोग हम लोग को देख के तुम लोग को ये agitation कैसे आया? If you are a Vaikuntha Vasi, there should not be any agitation. That means you don't even belong here. You don't belong here. You should go to the material. We curse you to be born as demons in the material. Okay, so they get cursed like that. So moment they get cursed, जय विजय they understand कि अरे बाप रे हमने इनको बच्चा समझा लेकिन ये तो कोई तो महान लोग हैं. Then they understood. They immediately they follow the feet of the Kumaras and they say very gracefully that, oh dear Brahmanas, we are sorry that we offended you like this. They said that let your punishment, what punishment you have given, let it bear fruit. आपका जो curse है, वो let it bear fruit. But we just, you know, because we are repenting, we are requesting you, let us not forget the Lord. It's a very beautiful point, right? That, you know, what is the greatest fear for a devotee? The greatest fear for a devotee is not that वो शेयर में पैसा डाला डूबने जाएगा ना, म्यूचुअल फंड सही है .com बोल रहे हैं सब लोग, म्यूचुअल फंड में पैसा डाला है डूबने जाएगा ना. क्या प्रभु जी म्यूचुअल फंड में डाला है कि नहीं पैसा, डूब नहीं जाएगा ना? We are not worried about these things, or at least we should not be. प्रमोशन एक बार मिल रहा है कि 3 साल हो गए, प्रमोशन तो होना चाहिए साथ. Devotee is not worried about these things. He's not afraid about these things. मेरा तो promotion गया, मेरा तो pension जाएगा, ये होएगा. They're not afraid of these things. They are afraid कि ब्रह्मांड भ्रमिते कौन भाग्यवान जीव गुरु प्रसादे पाए भक्ति लता बीज. ब्रह्मांड भ्रमिते, ब्रह्मांड 14 प्लानिटरी सिस्टम में जो भाग्यवान जीव है, जो भ्रमिते भ्रमिते मतलब घूमते 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 घूमते, मिलियंस ऑफ स्पीशीज ऑफ लाइफ घूमते 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 घूमते, कौन भाग्यवान जीव गुरु कृष्ण प्रसादे भाई पाए भक्ति लता बीज. The seed of bhakti is planted in the heart of that bhagyavan जीव. Somehow हमें नहीं चाहिए था, किसी ने बोला नहीं मुझे भक्ति दो, ढूंढो जाओ कहां मिलेगा. हमें किसी ने आके जबरदस्ती हमारे मुंह में ठूस दिया, हो ले खा इसको. खाया तो कहीं तो सीड जाके बैठ गया. वी आर भाग्यवान, वी आर सिंपली फॉर्चुनेट. So this person who is, we are so भाग्यवान. Again I lost context. कहां से चालू किया था? हाँ, yes, thank you. So that we are so fortunate that we have got this bhakti, right? So they say that let us not forget the Lord. तो डिवोटीज को ना सबसे बड़ा डर वो है कि मैं फिर से माया में गिर के भगवान को भूल ना जाऊं. Somehow by I don't deserve. हमारी कोई औकात नहीं है, कोई लायकी नहीं है. We have no qualifications, but still somehow we have got it. Just मिल गया भक्ति. भक्ति पूरा मिला भी नहीं, but भक्ति से कनेक्ट तो हो गए, right? We are so fortunate. So the greatest fear of the devotee is I will forget Krishna. So they're saying, please let us not forget the Lord. So like this, they are praying, and at that time it is described that Lord Vishnu comes out of Vaikuntha. ये सब कहाँ हो रहा है सीन? वैकुंठा के गेट पे हो रहा है. बोलते हैं ना, सब मारा मारी गेट के बाहर ही चल रहा है. अभी तक वो लोग अंदर नहीं आए. हाँ, गेट नंबर 6 गेट नंबर 6 पे हो रहा है. Now Lord Vishnu along with Lakshmi Devi comes out of Vaikuntha. तो उनको पता चला है यहाँ पे कुछ गड़बड़ हुआ है, रड़ा हुआ है यहाँ पे. So he comes out of Vaikuntha and he meets with the Kumaras. So it is described at that point the Kumaras, the 4 Kumaras are also repenting. They realize that in anger, who have we cursed? We have cursed Vaikunthavasi, who are the direct servants of the Lord. उनको हम लोग ने कर्ज किया. Who do we think we are? So उनको भी अभी repentance हो रहा है. They are also repenting, and of course the Jaya Vijaya are also repenting कि यार हमने क्या गड़बड़ कर दिया. They are not feeling bad that we'll go to material world. They are feeling we'll be separated from the Lord. We have direct, immediate, daily connection with the Lord here. We will be now separated from. So they are, both of them are depressed, right? At that time the Lord comes, and it's described by his pleasing face and by his affectionate glance. Okay, both the sides were afraid, due to the offense that they had done, but by just seeing the Lord's face and his affectionate smile, affectionate glance, they were pacified. Both of them felt satisfied, right? So it is described that these 4 Kumaras, right? I said this before the start. They were Gyanis. They were not Bhaktas. They were not devotees of the Lord. They were Gyanis. Gyanis का एक natural एक pride भी होता है, और एक dry ये. They are only connected with Brahman. They don't pay any attention to the supreme personality of God. Now when the Lord came in front of them, the fragrance of the Lord's lotus feet and the tulsi which were on his lotus feet, the combination of the fragrance of the Lord's lotus feet and the tulsi mixed with the tulsi fragrance from his aroma of tulsi coming from his lotus feet, that fragrance entered into the noses of the 4 Kumaras. Just by this fragrance, they were transformed from impersonalist to personalist. Right? So भगवान को अगर किसी का हृदय परिवर्तन करना है, 1 मिनट में कर सकते हैं. खाली आपका भी इच्छा चाहिए उसके लिए. He will not force you to transform your heart. If you don't want to become a devotee, he will not force you. See, bhakti is वो एक प्रेम का लेन देन है between the bhakta and the Lord. Bhakti, bhakta, and the Lord, all three are eternal. But that reciprocation will not happen if you don't want to do it. Sometimes we wonder, no, Are, I am chanting Hare Krishna. तुझको तो नहीं रहा है, कहाँ हमारा हृदय, प्रभु जी कुछ कुछ बोलते हैं, भक्ति परिवर्तन, हम तो उधर के उधर ही पड़े हुए हैं. बिकॉज हम लोग सिंसियरली फॉलो नहीं करते. We are not sincere. Therefore, it's like we are trying to light a fire of bhakti, and then we pour water in it every day in form of Netflix, Amazon, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, फलाना ढिमकाना, सब डाल डाल के वो पानी डालते जा रहे. अरे अग्नि जल ही नहीं रहा है, क्या अग्नि है ये भक्ति का, कुछ जलता ही नहीं है. अरे कैसे जलेगा, रोज उसमें पानी जो डाल रहे हो. It's not possible. We are surprised that I am not making progress in bhakti. That is the reason. At least acknowledge it. You may not be able to accept it, but you must at least acknowledge that this is the problem. Why we are not, why when I chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, and chanting this Hare Krishna, why the Ashtavikar doesn't come in my heart? Why my रोम खड़े नहीं हो जाते, आंखों से अश्रु की धारा क्यों नहीं बहती? My body doesn't tremble in ecstasy. Why? It doesn't happen because there's too many offenses happening in parallel. But if we follow the process, this is what Acharyas have explained. This is what happens. So anyway, so their hearts were transformed by the fragrance of the Lord's lotus feet combined with tulsi. They looked at the Lord again and again. Like I'm looking at him right now, right? Very distracting. तो देखते ही वो सब उसको ही देखने लगते हैं. So the Lord came in front. So the Kumaras, they are looking at his lotus feet. They're going to his face, looking at his lotus feet. Again and again, again and again, they came into this meditative state, on the beautiful form of the Lord. But Srila Prabhupada, the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of the acharyas, he explains that although they were transformed from the impersonal conception to the personal conception, right? Impersonal is to personal form of the Lord. They only attained Shanta Bhakti. The Bhakti rasa, there are 5 rasas, right? There's Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. 5. Shanta rasa is the start. They only attained Shanta ras Bhakti. They did not get Dasya or anything higher. Why? Because they offended the devotees of the Lord, right? So they didn't get. So they offered various prayers, and there's a whole description given about the beauty of the Lord. It's 5 minutes to 8. I think we'll stop. I'll just tell this beauty of the Lord and I'll pause here. बाकी का next time. Okay? Because ये तो नहीं छोड़ना चाहिए, तो आप लोग सुनना चाहिए. Directly from this. Yeah. So, chapter 15, verse number 39 to 41. Okay. Chapter 15, 3.15.39 to 41. Text 39. The Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. Okay, before this, look at the poetic language I used. Okay? The poetic language. It says the sages headed by Sanak Rishi saw that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who was formerly visible only within their hearts in ecstatic trance, now actually became visible to their eyes. As he came forward, accompanied by his own associates bearing all paraphernalia, such as an umbrella and a charmer fan. Umbrella and charmer fan. Charmer fan मालूम है आप लोग को? Charmer वो जो yak tail का जो सफेद वाला होता है. The white bunches of hair moved very gently, like 2 swans. Look at the poetic description that's given. Okay, this is very beautiful. Like two swans, and due to their favorable breeze, the pearls garlanding the umbrella also. तो umbrella के ऊपर जो pearls थे, ऐसा हवा तो वो pearls भी ऐसे ऐसे डुल रहे, हिल रहे, डुल रहे. Like drops of nectar falling from the white full moon, or ice melting due to a gust of wind. Poetically, it is described. Okay. Then 39 verse. The Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction, and his affectionate smiling and glancing touch the core of the heart. So when the Lord even smiles, that touches the core of the heart. Okay? Because a connection hota hai. The Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, and his broad chest is the resting place of the goddess of fortune, who glorifies the entire spiritual world, summit of all heavenly planets. Thus, it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty and fortune of the spiritual world. Text 40. He was adorned with a girdle that shone brightly on the yellow cloth covering his large hips. And he wore a garland of fresh flowers, which was distinguished by humming bees. His lovely wrists were graced with bracelets. And he rested. Okay, now look at this description. Imagine this description. Okay. He rested one of his hands on the shoulder of Garuda. Garuda is the carrier. So one hand was on the shoulder of Garuda, and with his other hand, he was twirling a lotus in his hand. हाथ में ऐसा लोटस था. See, Lord does this thing. बच्चे करते ना flower है हाथ में ऐसे ऐसे घुमाते. भगवान भी ऐसा, he was twirling a lotus. Okay. His countenance was distinguished by cheeks that enhanced the beauty of his alligator-shaped pendants. कान का बोलते हैं ना मकर कुंडल. It's described in this verse. It is said Makara Kundal, which outshone lightning. His nose was prominent. His head was covered with a gem-studded crown. A charming necklace hung between his stout arms, and his neck was adorned with the gem known by the name Kaustuba. So, like this, a beautiful description is given. The beauty of Lord Vishnu, who comes forward now. This mamla has been created, this matter has been created because of a dispute between two great souls, two groups of great souls. One are his two doorkeepers, Jaya and Vijaya, Dwarpal, playing very important service. If you see any Vishnu temple all over India, बाहर जय विजय होते ही होते हैं, मतलब they have important place. Don't think that द्वारपाल, no. वैकुंठ का द्वारपाल भी हमसे million times ज्यादा qualified है. Million क्या, there is no comparison. They are pure souls. So they have offended the four Kumaras, who are also great souls, and the four Kumaras have cursed them, who are great souls. So now the Lord comes in to solve this matter. How he solves, we will discuss next. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gurudev ki, Jai Gaur Premanand ki. Hare Krishna. Since it's already 8 o'clock, do we have time for question? We'll stop. Okay, we'll have Kirtan for next 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I'm just going to close the rest of the recording.